Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on the head strength coach of the USA National Team Development Program and the head performance coach for GVN Performance, Joe Meloni. And Joe is from the Boston area. Him and I got the chance to work together for a year in Chicago before he went on to become the head strength coach at the NTDP. Awesome guy. This was a phenomenal episode. But before we do get over to Joe, let's bring on another phenomenal, awesome guy in one Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what's up today, brother?
Not much, dude. Had a speech before we jumped on the podcast today that was talking about so much of the things that we talked about in the podcast is actually wild. It was pretty cool to have that happen today, where I was talking about specific things and I used examples in the gym or hockey or whatever about how it could translate to this business. I went and spoke to a company and its workers, and then come on the podcast and talk about like it in the hockey world. And it's just, it's why Topher and I love this game so much, because we think that it's the perfect metaphor to help people and kids be successful and happy and resilient and all these things that we need adults to be in our society for it to function correctly and everyone to have good lives. And hockey can instill all these things. And it was just a really cool, very immediate and vivid reminder going from there, the working world to on the podcast, talking in a hockey sense. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, development is development. Doesn't matter what arena you're in. Leadership is leadership. Doesn't matter what arena you're in. Resilience is resilience. Doesn't matter what arena is in. And that's why, yeah, I mean, we do our podcast to make sure people know that the stuff you learn inside the game is going to help you be a better person. And the stuff that you do outside the game can absolutely help you to become a better hockey player or a coach as well. So like, it's awesome to be able to, it's funny, like, we hit on a lot of the same themes, right? And a lot of the people that we have on, just in different ways and different stories and different backgrounds and different experiences. And yeah, I thought this was a really cool podcast. I mean, it was a great mix of like, the performance side and a great mix of like mental toughness and culture type stuff too. And dude, Joe's a rising star in this game. That, like, I got the chance to work with him. He is A+, man. Like absolutely A+. And for his age, getting this job at the NTDP, a lot of what he does, like his hands are on like the future of the NHL. That's a big job. That's a really big job. But he does it so well. And him with Brian Gallivan, who we've had on the podcast, they do such a great job, and it's why the NTDP every year is competing for gold medals and they're beating college teams and doing so well. So it was cool. It was cool to have him on. We've been trying to get him on and just scheduling whatever type stuff, like for, I feel like a year or two. We've been trying to get him. We finally got him. We got him. You strength coaches are all so busy. So no, it was a great conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it's cool. I've been talking to him, met him when he came down here for a tournament or something, probably 4 years ago. And, talk to him every now and then on social media. It's so cool to see, where the position he's earned through his hard work and his dedication to his craft. And really cool to have, somebody who's literally working with the players who will be some of the best players in the world, in the whole world. He's working with them every single day. And some of the best players in the National Hockey League already, working with them in the summer as well, with GVN Performance too, with Brian. and the team there. So, these words are some serious words, and he's working with the best. And if you can do anything, it's learn from the people who are where you want to be or have been where you've been and have made it to whatever level you're trying to get to. So this is one that I would recommend that you're sending to your teams, you're sending to your players, you're sending to your coaches, because you're going to get a lot out of this one.
Yeah, I think it's big for the players. I think this is a big one for all the kids that are listening right now. Have a notebook ready or take your phone out to take some notes, because he talks a lot about what it takes to be successful at potentially your age. And he has the best 16 and 17-year-olds in the country. But if you're anywhere from 12 to 15, you're a stone's throw away from being that age. It goes by really quick, and you might as well start today. Maybe you haven't dedicated yourself, or maybe you haven't fallen in love with the game as much as you need to be able to maximize your potential to do really cool things in the sport. And this is a great episode to really kind of like figure out what that means, and the process of what it potentially takes, and what they do with their guys at the NTDP when they're there. A lot of people would probably be shocked with I'm not going to give it away, but a lot of people will be shocked with the process that they take, and what the environment, let's say, they put the kids in, to help them to be the best in the world, really. And so, yeah, and I just love him as a guy. Like, he's just such a good dude too. I love this conversation, man.
It just reminds me of when I went there, helped them run testing for their 40-man camp. It was probably like 3 years ago now, and I gave a speech to the players who are already on the teams currently, and worked out with them a couple of times. I remember when the new kids were coming in who were kind of trying out, Brian looked over at me before he started his opening remarks to all the kids on the opening night, and he was like, "Watch this! I'm gonna scare the shit out of all these kids." And he goes from smiley, we're boys, to in front of the kids and just but all with a purpose, all with the plan, not just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what happens. All planned out, all programmed, and just really, really, really cool. I love that guy. He's a mentor. He's a friend. He's somebody I truly look up to. So we got to get him back on the podcast too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get over to Joe. Before we do, we got some people to thank. First, want to thank icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. They got thousands of drills. They got whiteboard explanations from some really high-level hockey people that can help you get some more knowledge about the game. They have the ability, they give you the ability to go in there, drop your drills, print them out, send them to your team before practice, build a drill library for your entire organization. That's why we've partnered with them on an association's platform. And you can get this for every coach within your organization and build that drill library and build a library of practice plans. Guys, this is such an unbelievable value add. Go to icehockeysystems.com today. Look up that association's platform and get it for your teams.
I want to say thank you to Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the amazing app that allows me to train all of these teams and organizations and players year-round now on the app, and anybody who's not a current hockey player too. So for you moms and dads looking to set a good example, what up? You can join my own personal workouts via the Train Heroic app every month for barely $1 a day. But I want to say a massive thank you. They've allowed me to train tens of thousands of hockey players the last couple of years here and deliver quality training programs for a hilariously low price. My whole goal with that is to make training available and affordable for all. It shouldn't be just high-level athletes having exposure to the best coaches. So I'm excited that they allow me to offer that year-round. So massive thank you to Train Heroic. Also want to say thank you to Cure Nutrition. Cure Nutrition is the CBD company I'm with. I got some of my cured pills right here, actually, my sleepy time pills that I take right before I go to bed. But if you're looking for any type of information on CBD, please reach out to me and ask. I'm a massive proponent for plants over pills whenever possible. Or you can go to their website, check out what they have at curednutrition.com, and you can save money with my discount code GMBM.
Boom! Next, we want to thank Crossbar. Guys, since they've become a sponsor of this podcast, I go on a lot of different youth hockey organizations' websites, particularly right now, being in Chicago and being on the board of directors of being one of the board of directors of AHI. And it is incredible how many youth hockey organizations are changing their website platform from Sports Engine to Crossbar.
We use it at one of my facilities that I run for a whole youth org, 700 plus players. We use it.
Yeah.
I just started using it this week. So easy. Oh
Game
my
changer.
God.
Dude,
Made my life way easier.
Absolute game changer. And so if you're not familiar with Crossbar yet, you need to familiarize yourself with them. It's an end-to-end software solution that basically can help you run your youth hockey organization. And so many of the clubs that we work with use it. It's an absolute game changer and literally streamlines everything into one place to run the operations of your club. So there's a modern website design. It's really clean and easy. You can set up registration for your entire organization in terms of players or drop-ins or lessons in like just the snap of a finger. There's a club schedule on there that can help you do your scheduling, a 5-star mobile app to help you with your communication with your team. There's financial tools and reporting that make things really easy from a budgetary standpoint. You can do volunteer management on there. You can do things with your rink and your facility to manage that as well. So it's literally a one-stop shop to be able to run your organization. We love these guys. They have an unbelievable culture too, and they're doing such an unbelievable job providing value to youth hockey organizations out there. So go to crossbar.org and check them out. It's literally a game changer, guys. Absolute game changer for all the hockey directors and presidents out there that might be looking to a new software to help you run your organization efficiently. And then lastly, want to thank Helios Hockey. Helios Hockey, this is a sensor that you put in your shoulder pad that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, particularly with things like your stride mechanics and what they like to call a hustle score. This thing is on you. It's moving with you the whole time and tracks everything that you're doing. The kids love it. There's actually a leaderboard where you can compare your numbers and what you're doing with other people around the world, which the kids love. Adds a little bit of a competitive nature, which you'll hear on this podcast, how important that could potentially be to your growth and your development. And so we have a code with them. It's Think Tank, one word. Go to helioshockey.com. Use that coupon code Think Tank, one word, and you can get 20% off your pro annual or your pro 24-month subscriptions with Helios Hockey. And I didn't even mention the most important part, and that is this sensor. It links up with your video, whatever video you're taking. It can be Live Barn, it can be an iPhone, an iPad, a camera, whatever it may be, and you will have your shifts from your game cut up for you right after the game to be able to watch. No more fast forward, no more rewind. It links up with your sensor. Boom, you have it right in your hands after the game. So just an incredible, incredible product. Go to helioshockey.com today again and use that coupon code Think Tank for that discount. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to support our podcast. We absolutely love you guys. If there's one ask that we had for you outside of listening to this podcast to help us grow, and again, a couple weeks ago, we were a top 10 hockey podcast in the United States, and we have you guys to thank for that. And if you can continue to like the stuff that we're doing on social media, comment on our stuff, send us ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you go, follow us and subscribe to the podcast. Again, it just helps us with our numbers to grow to an even bigger length that we have. And if you believe in our message, you believe in our mission, you believe in what we're doing, please help to spread the word to help us make the hockey world a better place. And again, we appreciate you guys, and we love bringing on guests like Joseph Meloni to be able to provide awesome value for you guys. And so thank you for all you do for us. You're going to absolutely love this podcast. So here we go without further ado with head strength coach of the NTDP and head performance coach for GVN Performance, Joe Meloni. Bet on the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8 HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Mental health should be something that we prioritize in our lives that are often overscheduled, intense, and can be chaotic and stressful. BetterHelp is an awesome resource to really prioritize mental health and help us be the best versions of who we want to be. We are huge believers in therapy and have talked about it multiple times on our podcast. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and really designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can also switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast. We finally got him, Vex. We finally got him. This has been in the works for a long time. But we got head strength coach of the USA National Team Development Program, Joe Meloni. Joe, how are we doing today, man?
Good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This has been a long time coming. I'm glad to be here.
Woo! We are pumped to have you, man. We are absolutely pumped to have you. So just a little bit of backstory here. Joe and I worked together in Chicago a few years back. This guy is the absolute man. So pumped for him to see where he's at right now. Head strength coach of the NTDP. Absolutely deserves it. And but I want to kind of take it back because you are a protege of a one Mike Boyle, who Jeffrey Jehu Scott Lavecchio Tapman one tooth out himself. Basically like got him into training and kind of changed the way that he thought about training and stuff like that. So just to kind of start things off, give a little bit of a disclaimer on who Mike Boyle is for those who don't know, and then talk about your experience working with him out in Boston.
Yeah. Mike is, I mean, to me, he's kind of like one of the godfathers of strength and conditioning. You know, he's been doing it for, 40, 50 years. Obviously, he kind of got his start, I think, making a name for himself with BU back in maybe the late 80s, early 90s. And he worked for the Bruins for a while, worked for the Red Sox, and then went out on his own and built up Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning, which is like now a multinational $1 million company that obviously has his facilities, but, like an online presence, their own education system and all that. And I worked there. I was lucky enough to get an internship there right out of college. One of my professors at Keene State was one of the first intern groups there, and she kind of gave me the hookup, got me an internship there. I did that for, a whole summer and got hired that fall, and I was there for about 2 years. And I think the best part about that place is you just get so many reps working with everyone from, I had 80-year-old clients down to 8-year-old soccer players to NHL players and everything in between. And then you're also surrounded by, 20 or so some odd coaches that are, really motivated and smart, and you can just kind of learn from them, bounce ideas off them. And then obviously, of course, Mike's there, and just having him as a mentor, kind of taught me the do's and don'ts and a lot about training, and also just like how to be a good person and how to develop your personal skills to, connect with people that you coach. But I can't thank him enough for giving me my start.
I love that you said you got a lot of reps there. I think it doesn't matter what you're coaching. Yeah. Obviously, both you and I, make our living in the gym, helping athletes from the gym side. So especially from the gym side, but all coaching, how important are getting those daily reps over and over and over. And how did that help you maybe become a better coach? Because we have so many coaches that listen.
Yeah, I think honestly, like you fail a lot, right? Like you get these situations that you've never been in before that you may not handle the best, or you're just kind of a green coach and you don't know how to command a room or get a player's attention or connect with somebody who's kind of shy or something like that. You just get a lot of time just working on that stuff, and you make a lot of mistakes along the way, and like I said, the environment there, a lot of people are there to correct you and kind of guide you, but then again, it's just like hours in the gym as well for a strength coach. Like that's part of the gig is just you have to be there a lot and just like absorb everything around you. And I think like some days I would be there 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. just session after session, personal training clients, and it's just like muscle memory of like how to run a group, right? Like and I think the way specifically from a strength and conditioning standpoint, like that gym is set up is like it's a factory, man. And if you aren't like on time with what you're doing, like you got 5 minutes to stretch, 5 minutes to do your soft tissue work, 5 minutes for your dynamic warm up, then you got to get onto plyos because there's a group coming behind you in 15 minutes. Like if you jam up the whole gym, like the whole system fails, right? So I think that's important too, because like as you got groups all day, like you can't have guys all 15 minutes behind on a warm up when you got to be ready at the top of the hour to start your next group. So I think little things like that are super valuable experience that, a lot of coaches maybe don't get, that maybe just go straight from college into whatever, like a graduate assistant position. It's a little bit different.
I love what you said there, man. And I also love like the fact that so you're the head strength coach at the U.S. national program. Like that's a freaking unbelievable job. But you started off working 8 to 8 at Mike Boyle's gym in the summer in an internship program, getting those reps, all different types of people, all ages, shapes, sizes, abilities, and everything like that. And I liken that to like every coach at a high level started at the bottom for the most part. Some people kind of either tricked their way in or, got a lucky bounce or something like that. But most people like start like that. And I think about my experience. My first coaching job was a graduate volunteer assistant job at Miami of Ohio. It was the best education that I ever had. I was at the rink, same thing. It was like early morning to late night doing all the dirty grunt work that the other coaches, I don't want to say didn't want to do, but it was relegated and delegated to me. And like, there's no education like freaking grind. There's no education like getting in the reps and freaking absolutely grinding, learning, failing, just getting those reps. And so like, how valuable do you think that time at the bottom of the rung, working those long hours were to helping you to get to where you are today? Because I feel like most people think there's an entitlement in our world today. And most people think it's just like one step and it's like, boom, I'm in the NHL, or one step and boom, it's my dream job. When in reality, like it's a long process with a lot of long days. But like, how much do you think those long days and that educational experience helped you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, it was instrumental. It's funny you say that. Like, I think, once I got hired at Boyle's, like if you asked me when I was, 22 or 23, when I was there, I would have told you I could have been an NHL strength coach. I, in my head, truly believe that. And as, like I said, like you get in these situations and you fail more and more and you do all these uncomfortable things, you kind of realize like, I don't know anything at all. And I think that's part of it. Like, it's part of the process of like building your base as a coach is like going through those experiences. But yeah, like just the fact of the matter is, as a strength coach, you have to grind. There's no way around it. Like there's no, like, it's not a 9-to-5 job. Like you're not doing 4 hours of sessions a day. Like even now, I'm in the gym early and I'm there late. Like it's just the lifestyle. And I think for a strength coach, like you just have to get accustomed to that. So I think that was super important too. And then like, just like we said, those reps, like you need to have experience coaching. Like that's what's most important. Like it doesn't really matter what if you can't like apply it in a coaching setting, right? Like you can have all this stuff you learned in college, but if you don't know how to maybe make it applicable to what you're doing, which is coaching, then there's no value in it whatsoever.
I love what you ended with there, but want to go back to like just how important the reps are. We're doing this podcast here, and I literally just sped home from a speech I just gave to a local company here in St. Louis about winning the day and why it's so important to win each day. And like that's what we're talking about here, like rep after rep after rep after rep. Wake up tomorrow, do it again, like win the day, like crush your reps, get better. You're going to have failures, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but as long as the needle is moving north every single day, like it's going in the right direction. And literally just gave this speech and to a bunch of people who obviously want to make more money in their careers and stuff like that. And to Toph's point, everybody's like focused on the shiny object at the end. And it's like, I want to get here, whether that's as a player, whether that's as a strength coach, whether that's as a coach, oh, I want to coach the AAA level and you're at, the house league level now, I should be there. Well, don't should your way there, like work your way there, like earn your way there every single day by putting in the reps, failing forward, getting better. It's so massively important to work those steps in between. You're never going to get to where you want to go. You would have never been the strength coach of NTDP, probably the best job in maybe all of hockey. I don't know. Like, I think that's probably one of the best jobs in all of strength coaching hockey. That's probably what I would say for me would be the best job out there. You're working with the best who are all going to be studs in the NHL most likely, and they all know it, but they all know they need to work for it, and you guys get to murder them in the gym every single day and help them because they know what's at stake. They know that they're like they could be making generational money and all be in the NHL forever and all these things, and it's like they have that actual opportunity, and you get to work with the best of the best, but you didn't get there without putting all those reps in.
Yeah, I think the journey is important too, right? Like, it's not just about the goal, it's how you get there. And I think, like you said, whether it's players, coaches, or strength coaches, whatever, like, it's important too. Like, everything you're doing has value. It's just like, don't get lost, don't forget the journey, looking at the horizon.
I also want to pick up on one more thing that he said at the end there, Toph, and this is something that I definitely learned from Boyle, reading his books, following him, listening to him being on our podcast. Like, I think it's one of the most important things that he personally is constantly talking about to coaches, and it applies to any coach, hockey or strength. It's like, it doesn't matter how much you know. It's, can you say it in a way that the people you're in front of can digest it, understand it, and apply it immediately? Like hockey coaches, doesn't matter what you know. Can you get your players to understand the system? Can you get them to buy into why they need to back check? Doesn't matter all the verbiage you use or you're telling a story. Get them to be able to understand the what, the why, the how as quick as you can so that they can apply it immediately and get better faster. Nobody cares about your vocabulary, and that's something that you said at the end there, and it goes for all of coaching. All coaching. I don't care what you're coaching, and teachers the same.
Yeah, I think like obviously in the summers, like we have a lot of pro guys too, and to kind of go off of that, like you may have 15 seconds to explain why you're doing what you're doing to a pro guy, and that's your one opportunity to get their trust, right? And if you just start throwing a bunch of like mumbo jumbo at them, like they don't care. They just want to know why this is going to get them better. And like, can you take all that sports science, can you dumb down all that force plate data that you've been looking at and just like package it up into a little 15-second, like, hey, like this is going to make you have a little bit more pop in your first two strides. They're like, sweet, love it. Love to hear that. Like, but if you're not good at that, like guys aren't going to trust you, and then they're not going to want to train with you.
That's so much of what coaching is, isn't it? Like, you think about even on the hockey side, you spend all these hours watching video, breaking stuff down, whether it's your own team, the other team in a pre-scout, whatever it may be. And then you have to take those hours of film review and those hours of notes that you're taking and digest it and put it into a 4 to 5 minute presentation for the players, because that's all you get. You're talking about 15 seconds, which is even harder. But like, that is like the gift of a lot of really good coaches, is to take the really, really complex and all the knowledge that you have and break it down into a simple way of communicating something that somebody that doesn't have your knowledge can understand and apply to make them just a little bit better. So I love that you said that, because that's coaching. It's really hard. It's really hard. Like, I remember sitting in the video room with like 10 minutes of video clips being like, I got to show all 10 of these minutes to the guys. I have to, like, this is and that's like, nope. Get it down. And and I think both of you guys said they're like, doesn't matter how much you know, it's what they can retain and how much they take into it and can apply it. So I love that. Going along with that, Joe, I want to ask you, we got a lot of kids that listen to this podcast. There's probably a lot of younger kids who have dreams of playing at the NTDP. And like, people don't understand how ridiculously hard you guys make life for those kids. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a, like, we're going to throw a lot at you, both physically, mentally, emotionally at 16 years old, and you got to find your way through it. I'm interested to hear your point of view, especially as a strength coach who's in charge of a lot of the physical and mental well-being of your guys. How do you see a lot of these kids come in? What are some of the things that, like, what's the thought process behind, what you guys do with them, and how do you see it benefit them at the end? Because most guys, as Vex knows, like, they come out and they're like He-Man. They're ready to freaking rock and roll in college hockey or wherever they go.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see that, like, progression over the 2 years. But I think, for the most part, like, there's kind of two different approaches, right? Like, your U17 and your U18 year are a little bit different, right? Like, the U17 year, it's super hard. Like, everything is hard. We lift a lot. We lift 3, 4, maybe 5 days a week. Like, you're playing up against older kids. Like, you're failing a lot. Like, so what we try to focus on from a physical standpoint in that is, like, guys just need to get bigger. Like, that's a lot of the focus on what it is like, we need to develop them physically. Right. So like I said, it's a lot of hard training. And then beyond that, like, both, my boss, Brian Galvin, who you guys know, he's maybe one of the best I've ever seen at building culture within the organization. Like, he's had so much experience working in hockey, and he's seen so many of these teams go through. Like, he does a great job of kind of like guiding the kids through these, like, really tough and challenging times, right? Like, it's not easy being at the program. Like, it's obviously a great place to be, and kids are very lucky to be there, but it's like jumping headfirst into the pool. Like, everything is getting thrown at you, right? Like, you got, like I said, the hockey is way harder. You're coming from, being the best player on your team, maybe your entire life. And now you're playing third line against kids that are way bigger and stronger and faster than you. You're losing games 9-0. Like, you're like, kind of doubt yourself a lot. So a lot of what we do with kids is, like, trying to get them to understand, like, this is part of the process, and your failures are what's going to make you great in the long run. Like, everyone has to go through that. You're not always going to be a stud. Like, not every player at the program is going to be a Jack Hughes. Like, some guys are going to be, we talk all the time about, like, you just want to be a career professional hockey player. It doesn't matter if it's in the NHL or the AHL or in Europe or in wherever, right? In Russia. Like, if you're getting paid large amounts of money to play hockey, you're successful. And yeah, it's obviously you want to be in the NHL, right? It's the coolest, but that's not reality for a lot of kids. So, like, getting kids to realize that sooner. And obviously, like, we're not trying to crush their dreams. Like, we want them all to get drafted and play in the NHL, but kind of the experiences they go through their 17 year kind of prepare them for that. And then 18 year, the focus shifts a little bit more towards, like, okay, we want to win, right? So we're playing college teams then. Kids are a little bit more physically developed. It's more of like a performance-focused approach where we're picking points in the season to prime guys and get them in a good spot to win gold medals and stuff like that. But it's all, like, built off that foundation of just doing a ton of, like, hard, uncomfortable stuff your first year. And then once you have that base layer, you kind of build everything off of that.
Absolutely love that. Playing in the NHL would be the coolest. I did think peeing in your pants was the coolest, but I guess
playing in your pants is
cool. Consider me
Miles Davis.
We are clowns. How do you guys work with the kids on that? Because you mentioned like a lot of these kids have been the best player on their team for their entire lives. You know, some of them may not have hit that much adversity in their first 15 years of their life. And a lot of the kids at the NTDP are told by everybody in their inner circle, you're the best, you're the man, like you're amazing. And then all of a sudden, like they get to you guys and you're making it hard. Life is a lot harder. A lot of them are away from home for the first time. You know, it's a real big, like, just life change in so many different ways. And it's so much harder. So like, I'm interested to know with that, like, what are some of the characteristics you see in some of the kids that like thrive in that environment? You know, like, did they come from a certain type of background? Is it something in their mental makeup? Is it a physical ability that they have? Like you've been there a couple years now. Like what are some of the common themes that you're seeing of the kids that when the times are tough, like that's when they are at their best, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I think it's like number one is work ethic. Like if you're just good to grind at all times, no matter what, no matter how tired you are, how if you don't want to be there, whatever, if you just are willing to put the work in, that's going to push you really far. I think like a lot of what we talk about is like resiliency. Like we make the kids read a lot of like personal development books and that kind of highlight like being resilient and dealing with adversity and stuff like that. And I think like one of my favorite examples is Max Plant, who just got drafted to Detroit this year. He's maybe one of my favorite kids ever, but he came into the program. He was probably 127 pounds soaking wet. His first year, all kinds of injuries. Like he broke his collarbone. He got cut with a skate. Like he got concussed and cut his eye open and was, it's really tough to go through all that. Like this is like, you're finally on this big stage. And like, it seemed like every time he came back from an injury, he would get some sort of crazy thing. And like, no matter what, just like always had the best attitude, always worked his ass off every single time he was in the gym. And by the time he left, I think, he was at World Junior Camp this week and he's like 180 pounds. He's one of the most powerful kids on the ice. And like, it's not because he's a freak athlete or came from a certain background. It's just his work ethic. Like no matter what was in front of him, like he just kept grinding and, coming to the gym on crutches and, what can we do today, man? Like, I want to do some extra stuff. Like I can't do anything on my right leg. Like, what do we got? Like, just always just keep hammering. And I think that is probably the thing that would serve a kid best coming into the program, with just that ability to grind.
If you said you have books for them to read on self-help, self-development, if you have like one or two books that you think would be the best for a younger hockey player, maybe like early teen, what would you say that you recommend or that you've heard from your guys that they get the most out of?
Yeah, we I forget the name. I'm totally failing right now. Whatever the All Blacks book is.
Legacy.
Legacy. We make them read that one. I think we make them read Relentless. I think that's Tim Grover. And then we make them read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. And we make them do book reports and stuff. It's pretty funny. But, they have to read their book report in front of the team. And but I think those are pretty good starting points for kids to read.
I'm just laughing because I know some of the kids that went through there, and thinking of them writing up a book report and doing it in front of the team makes me laugh.
Written in crayon and like they sign their name with a smiley face at the end.
But it's like all the kids listening and all the coaches listening, the best 22, 25, however many on the roster players in the United States of America who they're doing online school, but they're there to play hockey. Like, come on, let's be serious here, guys. They're getting good grades because they have to get in college, but they're there to play hockey. They're eat, sleep, do everything they can to get better at hockey. Their strength coaches are making them write book reports on self-help books. Like, you can demand more from your players. You should demand more from your players. And those things that they're making them do and making them read those books and stuff, it's for their mind, which is going to help them be a better hockey player. Even if you're coaching house league or AA or whatever it is, that type of stuff is for their mind. It will make your players better. It will make your team better that year. But more importantly, it's going to make them better at everything else they do in their life for the rest of their life. And getting them to do it at this very impressionable age, before 21 years old. Like, this is when we got to get them and instill these habits and instill this work ethic and instill the ability to come back from hardship. Like he's talking about with, 125 to 180 savage. This is the time that we got to be beating it into these kids that you can do what you want. You can be what you want. You have to learn to be resilient. You have to work for it and all these types of things. So don't be afraid to do these things. You can make your team do this stuff, and I think it's important that we are always bringing in that stuff that's going to help them in life after hockey and outside of the rink as well.
Amen, brother.
Sure.
Amen, brother. Let me ask you this, Joe. So I ask Vex this every now and again, but can you tell from one workout or maybe two workouts the kids that are going to freaking make it or not? You got all these kids coming in just based on work ethic, habits, just their overall kind of nest that we like to call at the gym.
Let me rephrase the question. Because I know what he's trying to ask. Can you tell who's going to give themselves a chance because of their habits and details and stuff? Because obviously in the gym, you can't see them play hockey if you only look at the gym, but you can see their nests, as Topher is saying.
Yeah, I think let's put it this way. I think at NTDP, it's unique. At the beginning, I think everyone's dialed in and everyone's working their bag off because it's the first 2 weeks. But show me the guy in mid-January where we're in Michigan. The sun hasn't come out in 2 weeks. It's the dog days of the season. We just came back from a road trip in Tri-City where we lost 10-1. We just got back from the bus. We got a lift on Monday. The guy who's happy to be there, that's the guy I want. The guy who just walks in, he's like, "What's up, Joe? Morning, good to see you." I was like, "How's the road trip?" He's like, "Oh, it wasn't bad. We could have played better." That's the guy that is more impressive to me. Everyone's dialed in for the first 3 weeks, the first month. Once we start playing games, deep into February and things aren't maybe going so hot. I think that tells you more than, everyone putting on their best hats for the first start of the season. But yeah.
I love that. That's so true too. It's easy to be dialed right at the beginning of the year. Everybody's dialed. It's same for coaching too. The best coaches are the ones that are at their best at those times when it's hard, when it's hard to be coming to the rink. And I've been there in Michigan. It's not too dissimilar in Chicago when the sun hasn't come out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No, that's really, really good, man. So adding on to some of the stuff that we're talking about, I want to get a little bit into strength and conditioning now. Gally, I know, Vex, I know, you guys are very into sports science. You're not just going into the gym and lifting to get these guys bigger or whatever. There's a plan, there's research, there's a method to the madness of getting these kids better that goes way beyond, just lifting a weight. What are some of the things that you guys feel like you're on the cutting edge with? What are some of the things that you are doing from your sports science background and all of the research that you guys do on human development that you think is really helping these kids to become a lot better?
Yeah, I think there's two things that kind of stick out to me. One, I'm pretty lucky to have access to a lot of technology. We have force plates, we have 1080 motion, we have all kinds of testing and evaluation equipment, right? So that allows us to truly kind of individualize player programming based off some of the stuff we see from force plate data or strength testing we do on the 1080 or whether it's sprint testing or whatever. So I think that allows us to kind of go through each player with a fine tooth comb and kind of find their weak links and simply boil it down to are you strong? Are you fast? Are you somewhere in the middle? And obviously there's combinations of both, but we'll basically just do all of our testing protocols and find out what the weak link is for a player. So a guy who's weak, right, probably just needs to get stronger and kind of that will kind of bring up the whole system around him, right? A guy that's fast, right? You don't want to necessarily take away from his speed, but let's say he's fast and weak. Well, getting him stronger is probably going to help improve everything else as well, make him more powerful. Now, if there's guys who are, kind of somewhere in the middle, they might need a little bit more of like a balanced approach where they need a little bit of everything. But I think quantifying performance in different ways and then individualizing for what a specific player needs, whatever end of the spectrum they need to work on. I think that's a big one for us is I think we've gotten really good at that, and we've developed a pretty good system for doing so. The other big one is like load management, and we use a system called Achieve where, players wear like a sports bra, for lack of a better term, with a sensor in the back that they wear every time they're on the gym or on the ice. It allows us to track player load over, a short period of time and a long period of time, and it allows us to, basically program out our on ice and off ice training, just like it's strength and conditioning, right? Like, where we have periods where we're going to push the gas, we have periods where we have a lot of games we need to dial back. And then obviously for us, it's unique that we play 3 international tournaments a season. So we can kind of work backwards from those points where it's like, okay, this is where we want to be at our best, right? We want to win a gold medal. So the gold medal game is, April 25th or something like that. We can go back and lay out a plan for exactly what our training loads for each day should be. And they should be progressive, with deload weeks built in and kind of record and track progressing towards that goal. And it allows us to make sure those key points in the season, we're physically at our best.
Oh, Jeff just got excited. Vex just got excited. Start from the end and work your way back. Oh, baby.
Reverse engineering, bro. Reverse engineering.
Hell yeah.
How important is that plan, though? I feel like starting from the end, working your way back, like how detailed of a plan do you guys have? Like, obviously for you guys, it's big, but like, we got a lot of youth coaches that listen to this podcast too. A lot of strength coaches who don't have the bells and whistles that you might have. What would be some advice in preparing some kind of an off ice plan for, I don't want to call it the average Joe because that's your name. Wasn't that your name of your gym when you had it in Chicago?
Yeah,
Average Joe's Gym. But like, for the youth coaches and the strength coaches out there that don't have that stuff, what would be some advice that you would have in forming a plan for their players?
Yeah, I think you can kind of look at the macro and look at the micro. Like you can look at how you organize your week, and realize that maybe obviously a AAA schedule, right? Like you might be playing 6 games in a weekend. Hopefully not often, but it occasionally happens. So you should probably do your harder stuff at the beginning of the week and, taper off as the week goes on. So even though, you want to accomplish a certain thing on a practice and you're going to have a long practice, well, front loading that's the beginning of the week gives your players time to recover. And, maybe your skate, before you leave for a tournament, maybe that's going to be, short, but still like fast and hard, but managing kind of ice time based on that. I think from the same thing from a training perspective, in terms of your week, you can do the same thing where, Monday and Tuesday are going to be hard days in the gym. Typically how we organize our week is, Monday, Tuesday will be hard. Wednesday will be more of a recovery day where it'll be more mobility for focus, maybe some light conditioning. And then Thursday lifts are always short and fast and like speed focused. So, it's okay to lift the day before you have a game, but it's not okay maybe to do 10 sets of front squats and have to go play 6 games that weekend. Mapping that out a little bit further, right? You can do the same thing with, all right, you're playing in whatever tournament. You have a huge tournament at the end of December. Maybe how you organize your schedule in terms of games you're playing leading up to that. Maybe you kind of keep that in mind where maybe we probably shouldn't have a huge travel weekend before our biggest tournament of the year. Maybe we need to taper off our practice duration towards the end of the tournament. Maybe, we have a 3-week period, say it's a 9-week window before your tournament. Maybe that 3-week period at the beginning is going to be really hard. Maybe in the middle, we kind of tone things down a little bit, still have some hard days and a couple of lighter days. And then as we approach like that big end goal, kind of dial it back a little bit and still keep things intense, but reduce kind of the volume of what you're doing.
Love that. And then like with that, how, and you'll laugh when I ask you this question and you'll know why, but like, how important is it that like everybody's on the same page? The strength coach, the skills coach, the coach of the hockey team, you know, for where you're at right now, you know, I have to imagine that it's pretty dialed in and buttoned up. It's just in terms of everybody is talking to each other. There's not just a plan for what's going on the ice, and then that doesn't coincide with what's going on off the ice, which is what's going on with the travel, which is what's going on academically. Like everything has to be, everybody's got to be working together, I guess is the best way to put it. So like in your experience, like how incredibly important is that people are talking to each other and everybody's following the same script?
Yeah, I mean, communication with different arms of your organization is like paramount, right? Like you can't have one hand not knowing what the other hand's doing, right? Like it doesn't matter if I plan out this awesome model for our practices if the coach doesn't look at them or doesn't know how to read them, right? Like I think, you know, part of that is on me as a strength coach is, you know, making sure, right? Like we're meeting occasionally, we're talking about the plan, we're showing them the bigger picture so they, you know, kind of know what we're working towards. And same thing goes for them being like, hey, like the guys are in one today, like, you know, what's it looking like in here? Like, what's the plan for the week? And I think it just comes down to like, you can have a plan, but like you have to be ready to change it if things aren't going the way they should be. And that just comes down to everyone working together and communicating and just being on the same page. And I think, you know, it's easier said than done. Like, you know, maybe the first thing you don't want to have a meeting Monday morning at 8 a.m. to go over the practice plan, but like sometimes that's the case. And like, you have to do that. And it's for the greater good of the team and everyone involved.
It's as simple as communication, so there's no duplication. You know, if the guys are getting slapped on the ice.
Ooh, Vax.
That was nice.
Write it down, boy. You know, if the guys are getting slapped on the ice and you planned on crushing them in the gym because you thought they were going to have an easy day on the ice, well, you got to think on your feet. You got to quickly change that. And what's a lot easier is if there's communication beforehand and coach says, hey, you know, we're not happy with X, Y, or Z. They're going to get it today on the ice. So we need you to back off a little bit so they're all right to skate tomorrow and whatever. And it's, you know, sometimes it's a day of, sometimes it's after the weekend. They know what's going to go down on Monday or Tuesday. Hey, we're giving the boys a day off. You know, you tell us what you think is best for their body on Monday after a 3-3 and whatever. It's just, you know, if you have people in your organization like this, the more you communicate with them, the better the overall 20,000 foot zoomed out picture that we can paint here so that the players are getting the most out of their brains and bodies and everything. And the team gets the players that are fresh and ready to go, not only today, but at the end of the season when it really counts and they're strong and healthy and other teams are dying because they're tired, they haven't lifted enough or, you know, whatever. And it's so important.
Yeah. I think sometimes for us too, it's kind of funny. It's like, hey, we hammered him on the ice today. And then it'll be like, hammer him in the gym today.
Yeah, you guys are lucky in that respect.
Yeah, he starts rubbing his hands together and like, there are times like, you know, where it's, you got to dial it back. And then there's sometimes they hit the gas. Like it's, again, comes down to just talking to each other.
Well, even in like the youth hockey kind of sphere too, you know, you have a lot of parents that have, you know, skills coaches or strength coaches, like above and beyond what they're getting with their youth club. And that can be a real tough thing because all of a sudden these kids are overworking some of these muscles that are really important, which could really lead to a lot of overuse injuries and freaking burnout too, if they're doing too much of it. So like, you know, we've talked on this podcast enough, but I mean, we should ask you, Joe, as the head strength coach of NTDP, about multiple sports and sports specialization. But like for these parents out there, I just caution you, if you do have your kid doing extra stuff outside, above and beyond, whether it's in the gym or whether it's on the ice, please make sure your skills coach is talking to the head coach. Please make sure that strength coach is talking, because you might have, like, a parent might schedule a 6 a.m. skills in the morning for their kid before school, and then a lift before practice right after school. And then the kid practices with their team at 8 o'clock. And all three of those people, if they're not talking to each other, might be like, oh, it's a gasser day today. It's like, I'm really going to push the pedal. And then the kid's going to get hurt. Like, it's just, they're going to get hurt. So like, talk a little bit about that and maybe just the dangers of specializing too much too early and how that affects the kids as they get to you even.
Yeah, I think kind of bouncing off what you said, right? Like if you don't have a strength coach or a skills coach that's willing to communicate with everyone else involved in a player's life, like probably time to find someone else, right? And not to like sewer anyone, but like I think, that's got to be part of the process. If, you have the kid's best interest in mind and you don't know what he's doing at skills, or you don't know what practice he has that day, you don't know how many games he's played, that's a failure on your end as a strength coach. But, I think unfortunately the way hockey has gone is that it's a 365-day a year sport. So I think it comes down to, on our end, like, I don't work with a ton of kids anymore, but like just education about like what that may do for you negatively and what it may do for you positively, but like being a resource for them to be like, hey, like sometimes you're not going to be able to change what a kid's doing. Like their parents are just going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't matter how much you talk to them or how much you advise them. Like they're still going to take them to that skill skate at 6 a.m. So then for you, it becomes like, okay, well, look, if you're going to have to do this, here's what you need to eat, right? Like you need to sleep this many hours tonight. Like it's education about everything else surrounding it that you can really get through to the player, that maybe not get through to a parent. But, and then on your end, it's like, okay, I'm going to fill in the gaps of what you're not doing. Okay. So maybe you're lifting 3 days a week with your strength coach. You're doing skills twice a week in the morning. You have practice 4 days a week. So what are we going to be able to work on in the weight room that's going to keep you safe, but also, that you're still going to get something out of it, right? Like if you're paying to go to another trainer, you can't just be like, hey, we're just going to stretch, but it's up to you to kind of find the gaps in what they're not doing and fill in, whatever you can without kind of redlining them too much, if that makes sense.
For sure. Absolutely. In the couple of years that you've been at the national program, have you seen many kind of like overuse stuff with some of the kids, or not as much?
I would say no. I think we do a really good job of evaluating players for injury risk at the beginning of the season. Like we do, a table assessment with them. We have different like glute and groin testing that we do. So we can kind of identify those problem areas early on and provide them with, extra mobility work or cool downs that can kind of help counteract some of that. But I think, like you said, like the players that come here are already pretty elite and they've already been exposed to kind of some of the stuff that we do already. Some of them even train at GVN. So I think for the most part, a lot of the kids, we don't see a lot of overuse injuries, but if they do pop up, we're lucky to have kind of the resources to work with that, like work around it. We have all sorts of like recovery tools and stuff like that. This year we added a physical therapist in our gym, which I think both of you guys played with, Daryl Moore.
What?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. So Daryl's in our gym, 4 days a week. So he's the best. But we can, if we see some of this stuff pop up, I send him to Daryl. They do a session with him. He's like, hey, like, he's dealing with a little patellar tendonitis. Dial it back on this, add in some more ISOs. We'll do a couple sessions a week. We'll do some needling and stuff like that to kind of bring him back to level. So obviously that's not a reality for a lot of places, but that's kind of how we approach that stuff.
Morsey.
Yeah, tell Daryl I said what's up. That guy was silky. That guy was silky on the ice and the dance floor. He had sick moves on the D floor.
I've heard of his moves, dude.
Savage. Great guy. Awesome guy. Hilarious that him and Gally are working together, 15, 20 years later, Pat and Brian. Like just the world is a cool place. Toph, like something you got to think about too is like they control like those guys, like everything. It's going to be way more. It's a lot harder when you've got a AAA player who's a little bit younger, who also plays baseball and also plays soccer and is doing skill skates and doing workouts, and they're going to all these different things. At USA, they're controlling their workload and they have it all on. Everything is, they're wearing the bra and they're all the systems, so they know exactly like how much is too much, and for the most part. So as more of like a thing you're getting with
I was more thinking about even like before they got there, when they do those injury assessments at the beginning, like, have these kids already been exposed to like some of these hip, ab growth? Because you think about these midget kids, like some of these midget kids are playing 80 games a year and traveling 9-10 times a year. And I know what they do is elite, and they have a plan, and recovery is important and all that kind of stuff that you just talked about. But I was more asking the question from like, what do you see when they get to you? Like, is it, I don't know, like, I'm in that world, man. And I just see so many kids with these hip injuries and groin injuries and kids getting surgeries at young ages for this shit. And it's just like, it worries me with how much kids are on the ice,
Yeah, for sure. I think, some kids come in better spots than others, right? Like, but I think it's our responsibility to make sure it doesn't become an issue once they're with us, right? And they may have dealt with it in the past, but it's more like, okay, this is the state you're in now, but how are we going to improve upon this so it doesn't become a constant thing that you're dealing with, that, your right hip flexor has been bothering you for 2 years. It's okay. What interventions can we put in place to make sure that's not an issue anymore? I think that's what it comes down to for us. Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay, I want to talk about Gally for a second here. So Brian Galvin, guy we all know very, very well, been on the podcast. He was probably first year, eh? Facts?
Yeah, he was early for sure.
He was early
on.
Absolute beauty. One. Gave us our start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But one of the things that you talked about that, like, I'm a big believer, like, my background is a lot of college hockey, and like the strength coach for a college hockey program is, in my opinion, maybe the most important person in the program. As the coaches, you kind of set the tone and you set the culture, but the strength coach really sets the tone and really sets the culture on what work means and detail and just the energy that you bring every day that you come to the gym, every day that you come to the rink. And I was really fortunate as a player to have a guy named Tom Howley at Cornell, who, like, still to this day, I would probably say is my favorite person of all time, just because of what he taught us in the gym. And so, you talk about Gally and him being so good at kind of setting that foundation and setting that culture for the program. Like, what makes him so special, and like what are some of the things that he does to really set that culture for the guys of excellence?
Yeah, I think it's part of like his own philosophy that he's built over the years, right? Like, he's been coaching for 20, 30 years and he's seen a lot of stuff, and he's been at the program for 6, maybe 7 years. So I think, he sets the standard really high. Like, there's no bullshitting Gally. Like, there's no flying under the radar, and he holds guys to that standard, and he's not afraid to do so. But I also think, like, he cares so much. Like, he can be a pretty intimidating guy for some of these kids coming in. Like, I like to joke, I'm the good cop, he's the bad cop. But like, he cares so much, and it's just like countless times where, like, he sees somebody's having an off day, and like, he knows when to push guys and he knows when to pull back. And like, you'll see him more often than not, like, something's wrong, he'll put their arm around them and take them off to the side and have a little chat with them. And I think you can't create a culture of, let's say excellence or whatever you want to put it as, without caring, right? Like, you can't just say all these things because we want to be this and this, but like, if you don't care about who you're telling it to, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no kind of heart behind it if you don't care about the person you're trying to get to be better. So I think that's kind of what he does best. Like, he's just a really charismatic guy, and he's just so great with people, whether it's, a U17 NTDP kid or a pro guy. Like, people just love being around him, and they love, learning from him and all of his experiences, but he does a great job of that.
I love that. And both you guys, obviously, I know you guys really well and have worked with you guys both in different capacities. And I think that's a strength and a gift that both of you guys have too. So along with Gally, I'd love to ask you guys too, how you set the tone, how you set the culture in the gym. What are important to you guys in setting that foundation? Vex, we'll start with you, man.
For me, it's getting people to understand, and we talk about this on the podcast all the time. Joe, is like setting your intentions. Like I don't care what your goals are, A to AA to AAA, AAA to juniors to college, whatever. Make more money, score more goals. I don't care what it is. Set your intentions every single day. If you set your intentions, if you have a clear-cut goal, if you have something you're working towards, and it's obviously a lot easier with pro and even college guys, but at the younger ages, that's something that's really, really, really important and can really make a massive difference in a young athlete. I think any young person's life is getting them to set their intentions, create goals, and then create the steps to work towards them, and teaching them that it's all in the details and consistently focusing on the details and giving your best effort every single day. So for me, it's intention, a detailed focus, and then giving your best effort, whatever that means for the day, whatever we're looking for, power, speed, strength, agility, athleticism, like whatever we're working on, like put as much focus and dial in the details that we're working on for that. For me, those are the most important like foundations I want to set, because I try and like attack those so hard that it's going to be something that becomes second nature to them everywhere else in their life outside of the gym.
Love that. Love that.
Awesome.
How about you, Joseph?
I think for me, it's like, I think I encourage guys to like be present and like look around you, like look at what you have. There's thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of kids in the country that would kill for your spot. You have everything you could possibly need. Just like, don't forget how lucky you are and then make the most of it. Like, don't cut corners. You have everything at your disposal you could possibly want. You're, for all intents and purposes, a professional hockey player. All you have to do is work out, lift weights, eat food, and occasionally do some schoolwork. Like, don't forget that. And just like, yeah, like every kid who leaves the program is like, yeah, man, it was a grind, but I would do anything to go back and start over. I was just talking to a kid today that said that. He's like, yeah, man, like those workouts were hard, like, but I would do anything to start over and do it again, because you'll never get that experience again. And I think I just try and encourage kids to keep that on the back of their mind. It's like, you get 2 years, it goes by real fast.
Absolutely. Amen to that, man. All right. So to kind of end things off here, so you mentioned Max Plant a little bit earlier and how much an effect he had on you and I'm sure the team as well. But like who's maybe another kid that you've had in your time at the program, whether it's a kid at the NTDP, maybe it's a pro that you've had in the summer that's come back that like really, really just impressed you, and why?
Oh, that's a really tough one, man. There's a lot of
I'm sure there's a lot.
There's so many kids that are just like one of a kind that I think I got to give one shout out to my guy, EJ Emery. He went in the first round this year. I mean, talk about work ethic. Like, he's early to every lift, late to or stays late. He's always shooting pucks, just like to the point where it's like annoying. I'm like, EJ, go home. Like, you've been here. It's 5 o'clock. Like, what are you doing? Go eat some food. Like, and like, man, he grinded his ass off to get where he was. Like, towards the end of the season, players usually, they'll go on a trip with, their family or whatever, like just go home and hang out with their buddies or whatever. And, the combine's maybe 4 weeks away. It was, we lost in the gold medal game to Canada, gut-wrenching loss. I'm definitely not over it yet, but 2 days later, EJ was back in the gym training for the combine. Like, that's so elite. Like, he's just like, he's like a little brother to me, man. I love that kid so much. But there's plenty of other stories like that, man, where, we're lucky to get some of the most motivated kids possible, and the ones that truly make the most of their time at the program. Like, I'll remember them forever. And like, it's really cool. Like, obviously we host a lot of like, world junior camps, like we'll do men's worlds tournaments, stuff like that. But this year was kind of my first year. We have the World Junior Summer Showcase, and like, I knew like I had worked with maybe 90% of the kids there, and they're all just like awesome kids. And it's so cool to see like where they were at the beginning and then have them come to this tournament. Like they're the big dogs now. And like, it's so cool to see that development, and it makes it really all worth it when you see them, you know, for the first time with their little visors on, and like, it's just awesome to see. So it's such a unique place, and there's so many kids that just make it special.
I love it. I love it. And I actually have one more that I think is really important that I missed in my notes here. But I think, like, you know, we would all agree competition breeds excellence, man. Competition breeds excellence. And you got 20 to 25 kids coming in who are alphas. Most of them are absolute alphas. How do you guys help to use that competitive nature that these guys have in the gym to make them better? Because, man, like, these kids, like, they want to be the best. Like, they didn't come to the program to play a third or fourth line role. Like, they came to the program to work to become a first round NHL draft pick, and they're going to compete like sons of guns to make sure that happens. So how do you guys foster that healthy competition at the NTDP to help these guys bring out the best in themselves?
Yeah, I think a lot of it happens naturally through training, right? Like, they want to push themselves, and, you know, we'll do a lot of things where, you know, we'll measure force output on the 1080 or jumps or something like that. So anytime you give them a number, it's going to make them compete, and everyone's intent just goes for the roof. And it's almost comical sometimes, like, how easy it is to fire them up if I just, like, you know, just a very carefully placed chirp, like, hey, dude, he jumped way higher than you on that. Like, it's almost like automatically they're like, they look at me, they're like, oh yeah, like, and then they just like go that much harder, and like it works every time. Like, it's humorous. Like, it's just literally they can't help themselves. Like, it's like, hey, Planner jumped an inch higher than you today on the force plate, and then, you know, Planner will be in the back and be like, yeah, nice buddy, and like, it's just like that, you know, from a loving place of like competition, but like it pushes them, whether they realize it or not. Like, even though it's funny, like, they're still working harder without even really realizing it.
I love that. That's so funny.
Yeah. They're still kids, man. Like, they're as elite as they are, they're still kids, and they're still susceptible to chirps. So I could just see that. Like,
I could just see that, like, you saying that and be like, wait, what? He got more than me today? Yeah. No. And then, like, they'll do like 90 reps. Like,
oh yeah, like, I'm doing another set. I'm going up 5 pounds, or they'll go up like, you know, 2.5 pounds just to go, you know, 5 pounds heavier than the guy next to him. It's like, then the other kid's gonna be like, well, now I'm doing another set. Like, it's pretty funny.
Competition, hell yes, breeds excellence.
We were never like that, Avex.
Yeah, no, never.
Oh, I miss that stuff. It's so true. You miss that stuff, though. That's the stuff you miss. Yeah. Like those things in the gym and on the ice and everything. So I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for your time here today. If we could keep you for another couple minutes, we're going to do a 10 questions with you, and that'll go on our Hockey Think Tank community. And be on the lookout for some Hockey Think Tank community news, because there's some big news coming out in the next couple of weeks, everybody. But Joe Meloni, head coach, strength coach of the USA National Team Development Program. Thanks for heard of him today, brother.
Thanks, guys.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.